Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we're Masechtas Ksuvas Daf Samach. We are going to begin on the very bottom of Nun Tes Amud Beis at the two dots. Im Hayam Akira. So this is going back on the Gemara we had at the end of yesterday's daf, that one of the requirements that a woman has is she needs to nurse her child. And we asked the question, what if she made a neder saying she's not going to nurse? So Beis Shammai says that we're shametas dan mepiv, because we actually listen to her, so we remove the breast from her mouth. Beis Hillel says no, we're going to force her to do this. And then it tells us, even according to Beis Shammai, in the event where he substantiated her neder, so that's where the whole dispute is. Beis Shammai says that he could have spoken and been made for the neder, and therefore he put his finger in between his teeth. And Beis Hillel says no, it's the fact that she made the neder, so it was her that did it. And furthermore, it says that im hayam akira. So if actually the child recognizes this mother, namely that it's a concern that this child is only going to nurse from this mother, so then it becomes problematic, because otherwise this child could die because of this. So in this, the Gemara says as follows: Im hayam akira, as we continue to Samach Amud Aleph, ad kama, says Rashi, kama chadashim, isol namemer, how many months do we say, shiodeya lahakira lihinak isha cheres, that this child recognizes, and therefore this child will not nurse from someone else. So Amar Rabba, Amar Yomi bar Abba, Amar Rab, Shloisha Chadashim, 3 months. Shmuel, Amar Shloishim Yom, 30 days. Rabbi Yitzchak, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Chamishim Yom, 50 days. Amar Rab Shimi bar Abaya, Halacha Rabbi Yitzchak, Shem Misham Rabbi Yochanan. That the din is in the name of Rabbi Yitzchak, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, which is 50 days. Okay. Now Bishlam Rabbi Yochanan, I can understand according to Rav and Rabbi Yochanan, Kol Chad V'Chad Ki Churpe, that each one is based on their maturity. El Shmuel, according to Shmuel, who says 30 days, Ki Haygavdim Mi Mishkachas La. Do we really find such a thing? Says Rashi. Kol Chad Lafum Churpa Yesh Tinik Chorif. Some children are more alert. Umakira B'Chamishim Yoim at 50 days. V'Yeshena Makira Shloisha Chadashim. Some need 3 months, but 50 days seems to be something which is very, very sudden. According to the Shita of Shmuel, he actually says 30 days, which again seems to be very, very early. So lo tesisinhu lahani kloli. Don't listen and pay attention to these rules. The Kaili Yehuda Achim Shmei Shmuel, because Hachem Shmuel Kolzman Shemakira. It's just as long as this child recognizes. Right? It says in shir l'davar. There's no actual measurement. It all depends on the actual child. We're baidik the child. If he actually is makir the mother, then we will force her and we'll make her nurse, because otherwise this child, it could be detrimental for the child. He the asol committed Shmuel. So it's this person who Rashi says was a gerusha. She was divorced, and she did not want to nurse. And she went in front of Shmuel. So Amalei Rav Dimi Bar Yosef Zil Budka. Go and examine, says Rashi, Imakira. If the child recognizes her and therefore is not going to nurse from anyone else, then you still have to nurse him. Ozol Oisva Bidari Dinashi. So he went and he was sitting among the rows of women. The Shakli Bra, and they took the child. Kamahadile Elihu. And basically this child was passed around among them. When this child reached his mother, he started staring at her face. And he lowered his eyes in that situation. So obviously this child was makir. Lift up your eyes. Kum deri barich. and go to this blessed row. Basically, it was clear that this child was makar his mother. Suma mino yada. So the question is, how about if it's a blind child? How is it shaykh for them to recognize the mother? So Rav Ashi bereich v'tayma. It's still shaykh by the smell as well as the taste of the milk, in which is unique. Tarabanan. Yonik tinik b'hoylech ad esrim v'arba chodesh mekan b'elech kiyanik sheketz. This is question 11. Ad matai yonik hatinik v'inza kiyanik sheketz. So you can nurse your child up until 24 months, and then afterwards you should wean them, because otherwise it's considered to be like you're nursing as a sheketz, which is a non-kosher breed. And Rashi says, "Kiu yonik davar meshukatz." It's a repulsive thing. No, you can actually nurse your child not just after 2 years, even if they're 4 and 5. However, the stipulation is pirish. If, let's say, they stop nursing after the 24 months, then they return kiyanik sheketz. That's when it's a problem. So up until 24 months, you can start and stop and start and stop. Once it's 24 months, if you continue to nurse every day, then it's fine. However, if you stop, you cannot go back. From then on, it's like, again, you're getting sheketz. So I asked the following question. You would think that the milk of a mahalchi shtayim, what is a mahalchi shtayim? A human being, walks on 2 legs, that their milk, Rashi says chalav shalisha, is tameh. You would think it should be tameh. Why should it be usher to eat mother's milk? V'dinu ma behema, when it comes to an animal, she kalta b'maga, that we're lenient when it comes to touching it. That it's not, there's no din tuma while an animal's alive. Nonetheless, hechmarta b'chalba, we're still strict when it comes to its milk, as it's brought down Mestatis B'choros. The fact that it says gamal, camel 2 times. One is to aser the milk of the camel. So we see that when it comes to an animal, we're lenient as far as tumah, but nonetheless, it can't become tameh, but nonetheless the milk is aser. So adam shechmarta b'magoy, when it comes to a person who there is a din, if let's say she's a nida, you touch her, you become tameh. So eno din shetachmer b'chalboi, so her milk should be aser. Talmud leimer esa gamal kimal gerahu. So it says that regarding a camel, that even though it's true that it does regurgitate its food, but it does not have split hooves. Hu tameh, and therefore it's tameh. Ve'ein chalev mahalchi shtayim tameh elotahar. So it's specifically saying by the gamal it's tameh, which is mashma only the milk of a gamal is tameh. However, the milk of a mahalchi shtayim is tahar. Yachol itzias achalav she'enai shava b'koil. So maybe we're going to only include milk which is not shava b'kol. Says Rashi shahar b'tahara tahar. V'lo itzias adam. So, but we're not going to exclude dam. Shehu shava b'koil. Dam is something which is aser straight across the board. Talmud leimer who tameh ve'in dam mahalchi shtayim tameh el tahar. That also the dam of a person is also going to be tahar. The Yom Rav Sheish is a field mitzvahs parisha ein bo. Are you telling me that even midrabanan there's no din of separating? Says Rashi, din midaraisa shari. Rabbanan namil gazur be the amrina chal mahalchi shtayim tahar lo kasha hada parish hada lo parish. It depends. If or when do we say it's mutter is only kishipirish medadya isha, when the milk is separated from the dad, from the breast of the woman, and it's put in, that her milk isn't put into a cup, so that can be drank. However, yonik min hadad kiyanik sheketz midrabanan. However, drinking straight from the mother's breast, that is considered to be an issa d'Rabbanan. So if it's separated in a cup, you can drink it. However, if it's still in the mother's breast to drink directly from it after 24 months, that's considered to be sheketz. However, interestingly enough, that even though that's true, the chalufa b'dam, the opposite is when it comes to blood, and which means that when the blood is separated from the person, that's when it's aser. But if it's still in a person's mouth, then it's mutter. What does that mean? So as we just said, Kedistanya, Dam shel gabi kikor, if you have blood on bread, so garib oichel, you can scrape off the dam, then you can eat the bread. Shebein hashinayim, which means you can't eat the bread just the way it is. But if you're brushing your teeth or flossing, and you have blood in between your teeth, so in that situation, since says Rashi the whole lake of the chazile, you can't see it, so therefore you can actually swallow it. So when it comes to cholav, it's the opposite. When it's connected, then it's aser. When it's cholav, so when it's connected, it's mutter. Amar Mar, Rabbi Yeshua Omer Afil Arba v'Chamish Shanim, even if we're waiting for 4 and 5 months, you can still nurse. He says even if the child's on riding on the shoulders, so it's really the same measurement. The halach in fact is Rabbi Yeshua that says that if you want, you could even nurse your child up until 4 and 5 years, and it's not a problem. Question TA 14. Ha'im chalav ish of adam mutarin ba'achila. So, of course, we know that chalav isha is mutter, but it's chalav delul pirish is asur midrabanan. Upirish, it was separated, it's mutter, but dam lehefach. Lo pirish mutter, pirish asur midrabanan. So again, that is question TA 14. So if the blood is still in the mouth, then it is mutter to swallow. But if it was separated, then you can't. The opposite is when it comes to chalav, to milk, which is similar to question TB 14. Chalav mahalchi shtayim matai mutar, dam adam matai mutar. So it's the same thing. Chalav shapirish kli mutter, dam shalo pirish min aguf mutter. Samacham and Aleph. So that's TB 14. Okay, let's continue by the 2 dots. So the Gemara says as follows: Tanya Omer. So Tanya Rebbe Marinus Omer. So he says the following statement. He says Omer Goineach Yoinek Chol b'Shabbos, that if a woman is in pain, so you are able to nurse. This child can nurse on Shabbos. My time Yoinek Mefarik. When it comes to an element of yoinik, that is mefarik, which is like extracting. Says Rashi, hanaisek davar memakom shegadol boy, v'lo dami l'mechuber elamin hatolish v'toshu dedashu. Fine. So the whole issue potentially is dash. It's threshing. It's like mefarik or like boirer. It's similar. So when it comes to this, since there is a sickness, so shem refuah, and the child is only nursing for the sake of refuah, then you can do so. So my time yonik mafar koyachar yad. This is being done koyachar. Rashi says shein derech b'nei adam linak el l'chalv biyad. So in this situation, the normal way of milking is it's done by hand. So this is done in a not normal way, and therefore, if there is pain, so then we are lenient. Tanya Nachum ish galia oimer tzinor. If you have a gutter on the roof that sheol boy kashin, that there are these like straw and grass that are plugging up this drain. Mimachan baragla, you can press it down to your foot, but tzina, as long as it's done privately, b'Shabbos, ain't a chayshish. My time, a masakin, because even though you're fixing the gutter, it's kliyach yadhu. You're doing it in not the normal way. It's a shinoi. The fact that you're doing it with your foot and not with your hand. Makom seidel goes a robban. Omar Rav Yosef kanacham ish galia. Okay. Now pirish liacher esrim ve'arba chadash chaydish v'chazer kienik shekets. If even though it's true you can nurse your child for 4 and 5 years, it has to be that you're continuing. But if you stop, you can't go back. V'kam, what is considered to have stopped nursing? So Amar Yehuda bar Chaviva Amar Shmuel shloisha yomim. If you stop for 3 days, you can't start again. Igdi Amitani Rabbi Yehuda ben Chaviva Kamid Shmuel shloisha yomim. He says it is 3 days. Okay. Tanoban. Meinekes shemeis bala. You have a nursing woman and her husband died. Within this first 24-month period, we do not allow her to get engaged or married to another man because she's busy continuing to nurse her child, as we continue to Samach Amid Beis. Ad Esrim Ya'arba Chodesh, Dibri Reb Meir. Reb Meir says you have to wait, because what happens if she gets married and she ends up getting pregnant and she's going to be trying to also be nursing at the same time, and it's possible that the child will not get the proper nourishment or they'll be neglected. Rabbi Yehuda Mater, Rabbi Yehuda says, no, it's okay. No, when is he Mater? Only b'shmoina asar chodesh. Once 18 months have gone by. So Rab Nasim Bar Yosef, hein divri beis Shammai, hein divri beis Hillel. This is comparable to the Machlokes beis Shammai beis Hillel. Why? Shebeis Shammai oimrim esrim yarba chodesh. Says 24 months. Beis Hillel oimrim shmona asar chodesh. 18 is enough. Omer Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, ani achriya. I'm going to be the one who compromises between these opinions. One who says it's 24 months. I'm going to say that you're allowed to get even married 21 months in, because even if you get pregnant, so those 3 months are going to go by, so there's that 3-month buffer. So if it's 18 months, so we'll say, okay, fine, you can actually get married 3 months before that. Why? That even though you get pregnant, therefore it could potentially affect the milk, it will take 3 months for it to become defective. And therefore, that 3 months, therefore we can push it back. If it's 24, it'll be 25. At 24, it'll be 21. If it's 18, it's 15. Omer Ula halacha Rabbi Yehuda v'Yomer Marokva li hitir Rabbi Chanina lasei sa'achach mishas hachodesh. He allowed, even though her husband died and she had a young child, she only had to wait until 15 months. Arise de Abaya, the sharecropper of Abaye, also came to Abaya. So he came in front of Abaya, his sharecropper. Amalei mahui oris b'chamisha chodesh. What is the din when it comes to an oris, someone who's a sharecropper after 15 months? So Amalei chada the Rabbi Yehuda halach Rabbi Yehuda. First of all, you're asking this question. When it comes to a machlokes Rabbi Yehuda, the halacha is generally like the shita of Rabbi Yehuda, and therefore, when we brought down this machlokes, Rabbi Yehuda was mater at 18 months. So therefore 18 months is enough, and then maybe you can go back 3 months before that. You allowed her to get remarried after 15 months. Kol shekein, certainly you, that all you are trying to do is get engaged. We do require 24 months, excluding the day of the birth, and excluding the day of the erison of the engagement. So Rad Basrei Tlasa Parsoi, so basically they ran after him 3 parsangs, V'Armala Parsa B'chala, a parsa in sand, V'lo Adrechei, but he was not able to reach him. Omer Abaye, Hi Milson, Emor Rabbanan Afilu, Beyasa de Bekuchla Lo Lishri Inish B'Makam Rabbi. Says that even when we're talking about, let's see if we have it here, no rush yet. Even these eggs which are dipped into this kutach, Lo Lishri Inish, we are not going to allow this dip Bimkoin Rabbi. In the place of his Rabbi, not because it looks like it's chutzpah to mater, and mishum delo mistayim milsa, he did not have support. Lamemr daha ana havi gamir nalei. Lahad Rabbi Shmuel afil hachil mistayim milsa lameimar. So he still didn't feel that he had the right to paskin in this regard. Tarnaban nasna benala menekes. Let's say a person gives his child, she gives over a child to a wet nurse, o gemalto, or she has weaned him, o mace, or the child tragically dies, muteras linasim yad. In those cases, we allow to get remarried, because there's nothing to be concerned about. The child's either being taken care of, or the child's dead. Rav Papa Rav Huna bar Rav Yeshua Savar Lamevid Uv. They was thinking to do just like this. Ki Hamasnis Semalu. He saved him. Did have you Uv? This happened? Be asili. They said no. It doesn't make any difference. Even though all these different things happened, it was either already weaned or there's a wet nurse involved. Child died. They still asked. Rav Nachman. V'asili Rav Nachman. Se'eni Rav Nachman Sholhu Levei Reish Galusa. We know that he actually did say it was okay. Reish Galusa D'loi Hader Bahu. Reish Galusa is different. D'loi Hader Bahu. The wet nurse would never back out and quit. So we were mako only there by the Reish Galusa that the child will be safe. So because you're dealing with the Reish Galusa, so therefore they're able to be mako and say that okay, fine. This woman is allowed to get remarried. We're not concerned. However, when it comes to anyone else, it's possible that the person may quit on the job. So therefore, in that situation, we have to be more careful and aser. Should be able to understand this from the following. The sign Yahari Shahaisa Redufa Leil Chabesavia. A person is literally going away from his father's house. O Shahayu Lakas Baves Bal, and she has anger regarding her husband. Let's say her husband's locked up in jail. He's in a different country. He's old. He's sick. She is barren. There's a kind of old illness. She can't have kids. She's someone who's just not fit to be able to have any more kids because she has these miscarriages. So in that situation, it doesn't matter. Rameir says a little plug. It doesn't matter. In all circumstances, they still have to wait for 3 months to get remarried, even if they're not going to potentially have a child. Rabbi says no. If they want, they can get married right away. Because they rise up. The halacha is like Rameir. So therefore, we see that it doesn't make any difference, and we should still be strict, says Rashi. Because they rise of skipping the lines, lo plug rabbanim at the kanas gezerah ishalahem being ishal ish, being ishal isha. They don't make any distinction between one and the next. V'hachinami lo plug rabbanan memeinekes shemeis bala. It shouldn't matter if her husband died. Bein shehimen nikto, bein she'eno men niktoi. It shouldn't make any difference. It should never be allowed. We should make a little plug just like we make a little plug here. So Amirle love adatin. It was not on my mind, which usually means that it was a mistake on my part. V'hilchasan was a halacha. Mace, if the child dies, then mutter, then she can get remarried. Gumalto aser. But if she was nursing and then she decided to stop nursing, it's aser for her to get married right away. And the logic is because maybe this child really shouldn't have been weaned so fast, but she decided to wean them so that this way they'll be able to get remarried. So we say, no. In that case, we're not going to try to encourage you to stop nursing a child. Therefore, we're going to say it's aser. You'd have to wait. Marba Ravashi Oimer Nafil Mace Nami aser. Even if the child died, it's still aser. Why? Dil Makatlale, because maybe she killed her own child. For Azal, and she went Uminsava. Habi Uvda, there's a story actually. The Chanakte, that this child was choked. It's not true. Hahi Shaita Havoy. Doloi Avdi Nashi the Chankon Benaihu. A woman is not going to choke and kill her own child. In order for her to get remarried, she's not going to kill her own child. That's illogical. And the person who's going to marry her is probably not going to want to marry her if that's that's what she did. So therefore, when it comes to mace, no. If the child dies, it's natural. A mother's going to love her child. So if a child died, it's a tragedy. So we're not going to say that she harmed the child. Therefore, she can get married right away. But not when it comes to the status of nursing. In that case, we do not say that is the din. Fine. Weiter. Tanaban. Harish nasnula bain lahanik. Let's say someone gave you a child to nurse. Harizu lo tanik imoy. You're not allowed to nurse together with this child This is question 12, I believe. Madua will yisa adam menekes chavero v'him la'aris mutter. Okay, I'm not sure. Actually, I already did that before, but okay. So hari shahai shenas l'bain l'hanik, hari zel l'tanik imo l'benav l'ben chaverta. She's not allowed to nurse another child. If she decided that she's going to be nursing this other kid, that's it. That's who she's going to nurse. Paska, Kima, let's say they designated a little food for her, Ochelos Harbe. So then in that situation, she should eat a lot from her own. So she has the right amount of nutrients. Devarim harayim, and she has to be careful not to eat anything which is going to be detrimental for the milk supply. So hashbana amrlo ben chaverta miboy. If you can't nurse your own kid, so certainly your friend's kid you shouldn't be able to nurse. So why does it mention that? So manatim benahu dechayis. Maybe if it's your own child, you're going to have mercy on the child. The matzil you're going to give that child more milk, and therefore one child will get more milk, and the other one won't get enough. Of a ben chaverta, you love the havilul moiser who will have matzil kamashmon. Whereas your friend's child, it's not the same as your own child, so therefore you're not going to do it unless you think you have enough supply for both. Therefore, maybe both are allowed. So the din is no, you're not allowed to do that. Paska kima, if let's say you were designated and provided a little bit of food, ochelos harbe, so you're allowed to eat a lot. So mehecha, so Rav Sheshes mishala, as we said, has to come for her own. She shouldn't eat foods which are bad for her. My nihu, some Rav Kahana, can koshes v'chazes, different hops and grains, v'dagim, katanim, and small fish, v'adama, and earth. Abai Omer afil karb kvusha, even these gourds and quints. Rav Papa Omer afil kara v'kufra. Rav Ashi Omer afil kamcha v'harsina. So Rashi says harsina is dagim metuganim b'kemach. So they're the fish that are together with flour, but seer v'shemen, and then there's oil. They have the oil and the brine together with them. Kufra, Rashi says they're tamarim b'katnusan, small dates. Kamcha is kutach, the special dip. So feel kamcha v'harsina minayhu. Paski chalba minayhu arche chalba. The problem is that this causes the milk to spoil, or for woman's potential milk supply to get ruined or minimized. Okay, we're going to stop here. Let's look at question 12. Madua lo yisa adam menekes chavero. Why can you person not marry lo yisa adam menekes chavero? Va'im oris mutter. So he says shematis aber is acher cholov. Maybe you'll get pregnant, and the milk will spoil. V'tigmu b'navi iskin, and therefore this child potentially could become could be dangerous, because you're going to end up not providing enough for this child. V'afal oris aser, and also when it comes to erison, we're also going to say it is forbidden. Let's see if there's another question here. Adkan.